Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of R&D with KD. I am your host, Kalhiel Dillard. I'm a former athlete, small business owner, and serial entrepreneur. The goal of the podcast is to inform and inspire entrepreneurs who are looking to get started but don't know how. Each week, I am going to highlight ordinary people in our communities who do extraordinary things. Today, I'm joined by Darren Wade. Darren is an amazing husband, father, real estate broker, investor, Airbnb host, and new millionaire as well. So very exciting stuff that we got for you guys on today's podcast. Our topic today focuses on growth, overcoming adversity and challenges, and networking, of course, as well. So before we jump in, a little bit about Darren. Darren has had a huge impact on my development and role as an entrepreneur. I'm very fortunate to have him here for the first episode because he's definitely been instrumental in my growth as an entrepreneur in even more ways than I think he understands. So this is a big moment for me. I hope it is for him, but I'm ready for him to give our community the same value that he's been giving me the last 3-4 years. So before we jump in, Darren is a rock star in our community. He's one of the top brokers in Fresno, Clovis, very big on social media, and lends his time and resources out to other people frequently. So Darren, thanks for being here.
Man, I'm honored, man. I'm honored that you have me here. And the first podcast, that's huge, man. Props to you for getting started on this. I remember when you shared this idea with me some months ago.
How long ago was it that I shared this idea with you?
Maybe 4 or 5 months ago or something, at least when you told me about it. So I'm not sure how long you've been working on it, but man, I'm happy to be here.
So no, I've been working on this now been talking about it for a while. Haven't done it. Well, now we're here. So just excited for the growth that I've experienced in my life. Numerous people really pushing me to go forward and continue to go, given the network that we have in our community here in Fresno. So I really wanted to highlight some of the people who have played a good role in my journey as an entrepreneur, and you are definitely one of those people. Right. So before we get started or just hopping into it, can you tell the audience a little bit about your background growing up? Where did you grow up, and how was that experience for you? How has that experience growing up, shaped who you are now?
Yeah, so I was born in the Bay Area, and I say that proudly because I feel like I have Bay Area in me, right? Like the whole hyphy movement, that's inside of me. So I was born in the Bay Area, lived there for a few years. Then we moved to Reno, California for about 3 years. And then when I was 6 years old, we moved to Fresno. We lived on the west side of Fresno, and I got to say that as well because I'm proud of the west side. And so I lived out there for about 3 or 4 years, did a lot of different things out there, hung out with a lot of different people out there. And this is part of my story. Some of my friends that I hung up with or grew up with there, are either locked up or dead or, on the bad side of the coin. So I was happy and fortunate to be where I am at now. But things like that have driven me to be who I am today. So some years on the west side of Fresno, grandmother still has a couple homes over there, still have family over there. And then we moved to the east side of Fresno, which was just probably a level up from that. People still give a bad rap about the east side of Fresno and the Sunnyside area and things like that. But I'm happy and fortunate I grew up over there as well. Had a lot of friends growing up, riding bikes, shooting hoops, skateboarding, reselling golf balls to the golfers at the Village Green apartments there. So I spent most of my life on the east side of Fresno. And then after high school, graduated in 2002 from Sunnyside High School, first graduating class. I'm proud of that. Went to Fresno State for a year and a half. When I was in Fresno State or at Fresno State, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that really clicked with me and really changed my whole mindset on how I seen the entire world. I started to see school as a business and not necessarily as a tool to get me to a better career, right? First of all, I only went to college because that was what everybody said you should do after you come from, get out of high school. And so I did that. But once I read that book, I was like, man, what I want to do in life isn't related to what I'm going to school for. And even before then, I've always been, or since, I don't know, maybe my teenage years, I've been an entrepreneur. I sell fake Jacob watches that you can buy, with big old bezels. like glasses, sunglasses, Ray-Ban glasses, and things like that. Things I can get from the LA alley and then bring it out here and sell it for, just a little margin, a little profit. I used to sell Gucci material that I bought from China. I used to buy Gucci, Louis, Bally's, Fendi material in bulk. And then I used to cut it up and put it on shoes like Air Force Ones when that was popular. Put it on hats. I used to put it on jerseys.
Was there an e-commerce store back then that you sell on?
There wasn't. It was all word of mouth. It was all, relationship based. And it was pretty good. And I'm a creative person. And so I enjoyed doing that and had a lot of fun doing that and pimping out, because that was during the big timers era and bling bling
Fat
and all
Farm,
this stuff.
Baby Fat.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, but I think I did some Gucci material or something on some Fat Farm shoes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yep.
Tell us a little bit about your introduction to entrepreneurialism or real estate. How'd you get started with real estate, and what has that journey been like for you? Because I know a lot of people, when they are beginning their entrepreneurial journey, it's real estate, I'm going to go sell real estate. What was your moment where you're like, okay, I'm just going to go all in on real estate? Yeah,
it wasn't until 2012, actually maybe 2010. Actually, no, let me take that back. I go back. So when I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, I have an auntie and an uncle that are investors, real estate investors. And I remember, and I forgot what it was. Maybe it was the book Rich Dad Poor Dad that clicked something. And then I found out that they own rental properties. They're from the Bay Area. They had just moved out here to Fresno. Excuse me. And I read the book, and then I wanted to kind of learn from them, right? Be the boots on the ground. And so I went around to some of their properties. I kind of seen how they were living lifestyle-wise. I seen the house that they had north of Herndon, right off of Van Ness Lakes area. And I was like, man, like, this is possible, right? And at that time, I was into, and this was like early 2000s, I was getting into more personal development stuff. I was listening to Tony Robbins really heavy, and a couple of other people. And being around them was my first live interaction with a real estate investor. And so I did a few things at that time. I did some door knocking. I mailed out a few mailers, right? Just taking action, didn't know what I was doing. I never followed up with those people. I never got anything from that, but I did take the action. Yeah. And then I moved away to Southern California, 2004, 2008. And then I came back because I have Crohn's disease. So I came here only because I needed to recover health-wise. But so 2008 to 2012 is when I was like, man, I'm healthier now. I would like to go back to LA because I loved LA and Southern California and everything out there. I just enjoyed the vibe out there. I enjoy, just everybody, or it seems like a lot of people are doing, big things, bigger than Fresno is or was doing. And that really opened up my mind. That really shaped me a lot as a human being, as an entrepreneur as well. And so moving forward in the story, 2010 or 11, I was like, okay. At that time, I had met my now wife, Cam. That was in 2009, and I was working at a bank. I was working at Wells Fargo at that time because I needed benefits to, in case I messed up again. And I was like, man, okay, things are going good with this girl. I really want to move back. But, things are going good. So is she going to come with me or not? She didn't want to come with me because she has family here, and I have family here as well. And so I was like, okay, well, what can I do here locally that I can make an impact, that I can have a lifestyle that I'm looking for? I can still be an entrepreneur. I can use my people skills and flourish, right? And so I was like, well, how about doing real estate on the retail side of things? I really want to be an investor, but I was like, how about I backdoor it, be a retail agent, learn how to, I didn't know this at the time, learn how to run comps, learn how to get in front of people that may want to sell a home, whether an ugly home or a pretty home, help enough people. This is what I told myself. I said, I'm going to help enough people get what they want until I can finally have the opportunity to get what I want, right? And so that's what I did. So I was on the retail side of the thing. I got my real estate license in 2012, and then it wasn't until 2015 when we bought our first personal residence, and in 2016 we bought our very first investment property. And I bought that first investment property from my auntie, and she did seller financing for me for about 8 months until I had the opportunity to refinance it.
Was this the same aunt that you shadowed previously?
No. It's like my great aunt, actually.
Okay, nice.
Nice.
Yep, where was that home at?
On the west side.
Okay.
On the west side, yep.
Where do you primarily invest at here in Fresno?
Well, mostly, so it needs to make sense. So numbers wise, sense wise, it's in the lower lower to middle income areas, like 93702, 93706, which is the west side. We own our personal residence in 93727, or we own our personal residence in 93711 now, North Fresno. But the Sunnyside home is in 93727. Then we own a couple of homes, 2 homes in 93726, which is Central Fresno. We just bought something in Fowler. And actually, we're in escrow now for another property in Fowler, buying that from a cousin as well. So that's where the majority of our homes are. Actually, we own something near Fresno Community Hospital as well, commercial building and 2 single-family residences.
Nice. So how has being from this area impacted some of your decision-making when investing? Because I know me also being a real estate agent, I always try to think of ways that I can connect with my hometown to see how can I improve the quality of life of those in my area where I'm from. So being in real estate, I thought to myself, like, this would be a good opportunity for me to make some money and then later on have the opportunity to change where I'm from. It sounds like you're doing a little bit of that now, but what's your decision making like when buying houses in the community you're from? Like, do you think about the people, how that's going to impact the people in that area? The service you provide, do you find value and quality out of the service you provide for those in the community? Yeah,
I do. Because in the areas that I mentioned, usually, more rundown homes than you'll find on the nicer side of town, right? And so I know every time we have the opportunity to help a seller solve a problem, right? Because that's what we do, whether on the retail side or on the investment side, we're problem solvers. Whenever we have the opportunity to solve a problem, we know that it's going to do more, not only just for the family or the person selling the home, but also for the community, for that neighborhood, right? We're going to beautify the home. We're going to update it and make it look better, right? So that way, hopefully it inspires the neighbor to do their yard, the neighbor to take the cars off the front yard, the neighbor to change their roof, the neighbor to paint their house, right? And just give the neighborhood more pride of ownership for living there. It definitely helps out. And it, being a real estate investor is a huge role in revitalizing a lot of different neighborhoods and taking the ugliest homes off the block, the hoarder homes off the block, the crackhead homes off the block, and changing them to something good, putting a good family in there that will put their roots there, and have kids outside playing and having fun and having a good time, and bring the neighborhood back up to where it was back in the days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how did you make the transition in your real estate career from real estate agent to investor, and how does that kind of guide your career today? I know you still sell and list homes, but do you always have on your agent hat or your investor hat, and then how do you switch between the two? Yeah,
good question. So when I'm talking to a homeowner that wants to sell a home or receive a lead or whatever it is, I usually ask about the condition. I always ask about the condition, right? Because I want to know what kind of appointment it is. I want to know what their motivation is. I want to know what their time frame is. I want to know if they already have a number in mind that would help them solve their problems. And so when I go to the appointment, then I can see the home. And so I go in there. If they call me as a real estate agent, then I go in there with my real estate agent hat on first, right? And I go in there and I tell them everything that they can do to get top dollar for the home on the retail market, right? I tell them, the roof will be a problem. Hey, this hole in the wall will be a problem. You need to double strap that water heater. You need to fill that pool because that's a safety hazard. There's a rock in the window. You need to fix that because that's a safety hazard, right? And so I'll point out everything that they can do to make the home HGT ready, or at least retail ready. And what I mean by that is, because the majority of buyers in certain price points use FHA financing, right? Because 3.5% down. It's usually the easiest one to qualify for. And with that loan comes certain requirements for the condition of the home, right? And so if those homeowners that I'm talking to have the means, the resources, the cash to bring the home up to standards, to at least meet the minimum requirements, then great. We'll put it on the open market. Right. But if it is a borderline home or a home that definitely needs an investor because it's going to be a cash only type of deal, then I'll tell them, hey, this is everything that you should do to your home to make it look its best to help you achieve your goals, right? And if you can't do that, I'm going to switch hats now. Now, sometimes I literally do this. I'm going to switch hats. I'm going to be a real estate investor, right? I buy homes like this, several times throughout the year. And I'd be happy to also make you an offer on the home as a real estate investor. If that number works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you and you have the means and ability to renovate the home, or not necessarily renovate it, but do the things that I pointed out, then great. I'll be happy being a real estate agent and listing your home on the market, so that way you can get the most amount of offers in cash possible, right? And so that's how I go back and forth between those two. And I will pretty often give a retail value, an estimated retail value, and my investor's value as me buying it with hard money cash or private money.
Awesome. That's great info. So if you're a new real estate agent, I definitely recommend listening to this episode. Yeah. But let's move forward a little bit and talk about, you had mentioned you're a new millionaire. When I heard that, I just, the smile you see on my face right now just lit up for Darren, because I know how hard him and Cam work and the value that they bring to other people. So just to see good people be blessed and rewarded, like, it's awesome, exciting for me to just know a man like you. And that's been an awesome experience for me so far. But tell us, has there been any, did you always picture your life being like this? Let's start off like that. Did you vision this?
No, I didn't at all. Growing up as a middle class kid, I did not know what it was like to be on, I guess, on this side or to be at this level. I didn't. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I grew up poor or middle class, right? Poor or middle class my whole life. And it wasn't until, I think when I read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then when I moved to Southern California shortly after that, my eyes opened up to what is possible in the world. And that really just, it just like fueled something inside of me. That's when I started reading more, like I said, doing a lot more personal development stuff. And that's when I realized, man, you can be anything that you want to be in life if you figure it out, right? Read it, learn it, watch it, whatever it is, and then take the action to do it. And then you can be whatever it is that you want to be. So no, I wasn't always like this. And I'm happy and grateful that I found this path, and I'm gonna have the motivation and drive and inspiration to achieve.
Is there a goal that either yourself, your family, or your real estate team has accomplished within the past few years that you're really proud of or attribute to a lot of your success? Or is there a defining moment that you can really look back on and say, like, wow, if it wasn't for this challenge or adversity or this deal, my life could be different, or and so forth?
Yeah. Man, let me think. I'm trying to think
that's a good question.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm unpacking it in my head. Sometimes it takes me a moment to think about it. A defining moment. Well, I would say, I don't know, maybe just the first thing that came to my mind was like realizing that we were net millionaires or net worth millionaires was pretty cool to see on paper.
Where do you go from there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just keep growing. And it's not necessarily a number. So one thing that I used to want to do is have $10,000 a month in passive cash flow, right? So that was a goal of mine since 2000 and I want to say maybe 17 or 18. Right? I was like, okay, in 2 years, I want to have $10,000 in positive cash flow. And so we exceeded that. And so that was a goal that we've, went through already. Now we want to get to like $100,000 a month in passive income. Right. And so that's another thing. And I mean, the numbers are just the numbers, right? $100,000 is more than enough of what we can use, or spend every month. But it's just, to me, life is a game. A sensitive game, but it is a game, right? And we love the sport. We love playing sports. We love watching sports. We love the life of sport of life, however you want to say it. So we're just going to continue to achieve and work and do what we want to do for our own personal gain, right? We want to just break through our own barriers, our own ceilings and things like that to see how far we can go, to see how big we can get, to see how much cash flow we can have, to see how many properties we can own, to see the amount of impact we can make, and just keep making it bigger and bigger, right? Because we're achievers, we're drivers, we're high D's on this profile, and we just want to do more and more for others. And we're big philanthropists as well. Once I figured out what the word was, and I heard probably Bill Gates or something, and how they donated millions of dollars to a certain, research or cancer fund or something like that. I was like, man, I want to do that. Like I want to be super wealthy, super rich and wealthy. And then I want to give back tons and tons of money to things that will change generations, right? Build schools overseas in other countries and things like that, or even here, in my own hometown. We want to do things like that.
Having the opportunity to give back, what does that feel like for you now, just being able to give back? Because I know a lot of times people may not necessarily be in the position to give, but they're givers. But it may not be their time to give. When did you know that you could give, and then how has giving affected your decision making in life and business? Yeah,
trying to think when we first started giving. So the first thing that came to my mind was, right now we give to Clovis Community Hospital, the NICU department. So our son, DJ, was born 8 weeks early, and he was 5 pounds, super small for us as new parents. And it was an emergency situation, so we was very frightened by it. And so we're very grateful that he's here living with us now. But the NICU nurses took good care of him for 21 days before he can even come home. And again, as new parents, we were freaked out. And we got to know the NICU nurses, and we just believed them to be angels, and how they fixed the complications and problems that he was having to be able to have enough strength to come home with us, right? Because before that, it took us maybe 5 years to even get to being pregnant or getting pregnant. Right, I was shooting blanks because of my Crohn's situation, and so so we went through IVF 3 times now, and we got 3 kids out of it. But one time was DJ, second time failed, and the third time we got the twins. But anyways, to your question of giving, so after a year, DJ was a year old. We started sending checks to Clovis Community Hospital, specifically to the NICU department. And then they called us one day after so many checks, and they said, "Hey, what are you guys doing? Why are you guys sending us these checks?" And so we explained to them the situation, or what happened, and how we cared, how we loved them so much, and how we seen them to be angels for us. And then so they was like, "Okay, well, we have a program, right?" Because they're mostly run off of donations, and I didn't know that. I thought hospitals had super money, and I thought they were funded by the government or something like that. Anyway, so right now we have a pledge for $50,000 in 5 years. So every year we'll give $10,000 to Clovis Community Hospital to help out any future things that they need, right? So we're proud donors of that, and it feels real good. That's because during the pandemic, we did more research on it. They gave some pamphlets on it. And a lot of people that's our color are the ones that have the premature babies for whatever reason it is, right? And so that made it even more impactful to us to donate to them, right? To help those babies, help those families. And then, of course, all the other families that go through the situation of having a baby that needs to go to the NICU department.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of young men who tune in as well. And you mentioned how long have you been married for?
I've been married since 2016.
So coming up on almost 10 years now.
Yeah. Like 4 more years.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So since we do have a lot of young men on here, what is your experience dating or being married to another strong woman, another entrepreneur? Like how is your experience being married? Like, what advice can you give to young men who may be dating or courting as an entrepreneur, as a person of color, who's out there? What experience do you have that you can give them to be a better man when, seeking out women? Yeah, man,
I love this question because I know that I'm here right now because of her, right? And so I would tell all the men out there, all the young men out there, like, don't be dicking around forever, right? Find you a partner or somebody that is growth-minded, right? And hopefully you're growth-minded as well, or else you probably wouldn't be listening to this podcast. Find somebody that's growth-minded, that compliments you or challenges you, somebody that has goals, somebody that has dreams, somebody that wants to do something in life and not just, and I'm saying this from an example yesterday at a house I was at, not just sit in the room all day, watching TV or playing video games or whatever it is, wasting your life away, right? Find somebody that's going to match your hustle, your drive, your motivation, and and wife that girl up, wife her up,
Absolutely.
right? Make big dreams, get excited about those dreams and those goals, and believe that as a partnership, you guys are stronger together than just one person alone. So real quick, so me and Cam are different, right? We had different backgrounds, different upbringings, and she is a risk taker more than I am. She used to run the family company. I was more of a street entrepreneur. I used to sell weed back in the day as well, legally and illegally, because that's what my cousins, my family, some of my family did, or my cousins did.
How they do it legally back in the day?
Well, no, legally. So I wanted to be the straight and narrow, and so we opened up a mobile dispensary for a little bit when that was really popular out here. So me and a friend of mine. And I opened up a dispensary. So we had a mobile dispensary, no storefront or anything like that. And we went to do it the legal way, right? But back what I was saying, Cam is a risk taker. I'm a little bit more reserved. I'm a little bit more calculated. I want to kind of analyze things before I make a decision. So she is very pivotal in pushing me to do things that I may be uncomfortable with. I remember when I bought my first brand new car off the lot. She had already bought in 2 or 3 with her family before because of the business that they had before. But she hasn't always been like rich, so don't take it for that. They had money. They lost everything. They dirt poor. And then that's why she has the drive that she has, because she doesn't want to go back to being dirt poor again. But anyways, I remember the first time I bought a car off the lot. And I remember the payment was like $400 or something like that. And I was like, man, that's more than what I've ever had in my life, right? And she really encouraged me to do it, right? She said, man, just do it, right? You're going to find a way to make the payment. You're going to find a way to make it happen, right? And you deserve this. You've worked hard. You drove buckets and scrapers for many years. And now where you're at, you need to take this next step mentally and physically to continue to strive forward. So since then, we've bought, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 cars, maybe 5 or 6 cars, brand new. And so now it's just a thing for us, right? We broke through that ceiling, or I broke through that ceiling, and now I don't want to look back and buy anything other than. And it's not just for it being a brand new car, right? It's all the things that come with a newer car, right? Less problems, less things to worry about. I hate seeing people broken down on the side of the road in an old car, right? I don't want to have to think about those things anymore. I don't want others to have to think about those things anymore. So there's more reasons than just driving a brand new car as to why we do it.
Now that you are a net worth millionaire, do you still have problems that you run into every day? Like, I know your problems don't change, but how do you attack those problems? Like, what's your decision making like when overcoming adversities and obstacles? How do you tackle those? You think about your family first. You think about how this will affect your business. What runs through your mind, even though you have the ability to handle situations? How do you attack every adversity or challenge?
Yeah, like you said, the problems just changed. We still have problems. We still have adversity. We still have failures and things like that. Now, I think the only way to be successful, actually, I know the only way to be successful is to continue to take action after you have a failure, to continue taking action after you get knocked on your butt, to get back up and continue running that race. How I do it now is I'll take a step back for whether it's 5 minutes or a day or 2 and analyze it. Think about, okay, what's going on here? What can I do? What's the root of the problem or the cause? And how can I change this? And then figure out a plan to take action, right? And I don't need to see the whole picture in order to move forward. As long as I can see the next couple of steps to overcome the situation, then we'll take those next couple of steps. And just know that it's part of life, right? I think the bigger you fall, the higher it is you can get up. And if you can get up, then just tell yourself that I can continue to do this no matter whatever happens in life. Right. Absolutely. Real quick example. So I know several friends that are that own real estate or was in the mortgage business back during the last crash. Right. They had Ferraris, Lamborghinis, several homes, and just doing real big things during that time. Right. Because money was really easy to come by then. And during the crash, a lot of people, not just those type of people, lost a lot of things or everything. Right. The couple of them that I know now that are up again, kept their head on straight during that time. So don't panic. Just know that life goes on. And eventually things are going to come back. So just try to keep your head on straight. The weight of the world may be on you, but it's not going to be on you forever, right? You can get through it. And so mindset is definitely strong. And those guys are doing it bigger now than they were before, yet a little bit more cautious and a little bit more reserved, and doing it in the right way, I would say.
Speaking on mindset, how do you constantly not change your mindset, but how do you form new opinions in your mind? Is it certain material that you're putting into, that you're listening to, reading? Like, how do you go from having a negative outlook to a more positive outlook? I saw before we did the interview, you were doing some breathing thing. Like, so what techniques can people who are new to mindset or personal development that are just simple, what techniques can they practice that may help them just breathe a little bit better or think a little bit clearer when going through tough times? Yeah.
So I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I listen to people that are smarter than me, brighter than me, or doing things that I would like to do or achieve, right? And again, I wasn't always like this. It started with Tony Robbins. I would definitely look up Tony Robbins, dive into his stuff. Even before that, before there was a stigma, I guess, around personal development. People would kind of laugh at you or make fun of you if you wanted to better your life or learn how your brain worked or something like that. I remember there was that at that time. But I don't know, Tony Robbins is such a powerful dude, and what he's been through in his life to where he is now is remarkable. So listen to Tony Robbins' story, because that's inspirational in itself. And then what he does for millions of people around the world right now is huge, is life-changing. So reading, audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube, that stuff, and learning how to adjust your mind, change your thoughts, would definitely take you a long ways. The breathing exercise that I was doing, I was just trying to calm myself down because I'm really excited to be here. So I'm just trying to calm my mind down so I can speak clearly, think clearly, and get my thoughts out. Because sometimes I get all a little mumbo jumboed and I'll start stuttering and things like that. So I just do a simple technique that I learned. Actually, I learned this from Tony Robbins in one of his seminars. I went to a seminar in 2018 in San Jose. That was my second time seeing him in person. First time I seen him was in 2003. I believe, actually 2003, right before, So it's just simple, breathe in and out of your nose. You can do it 40 to 50 times. As you don't have to do it fast, but I like to do it fast. So you kind of like you're blowing your nose. Just inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And I just do that. And sometimes you kind of get a little head change, right? You kind of get a little lightheaded. So maybe sit down when you're doing it. And then I throw the arms in there too, just as a rhythm, right? And then as I'm doing that, I'm also thinking of I'm grabbing good. I'm grabbing good and letting go of bad. Like I'm pushing bad up and then I'm grabbing good to bring it down. And then after I get to the 50, you exhale completely out. And you just hold your breath and count to 15 seconds. And I just sit there. I usually put my hands like this because then you can start to feel the energy in your body and your hands. And I just imagine that there's some power right here within my hands. And then hold my breath for 15 seconds. Your mind will start to tell you, oh, you got to breathe, right? Just try to hold it as long as you can. And then take a deep breath in. And then hold that for 15 seconds. And when I do that, then I bring all this energy that I believe I have right here, and I kind of just put it on me. And I just feel my heartbeat, feel my breathing, right? And then I just exhale. I'm not breathing during that time, but then I just exhale and then just sit there, take a couple of regular, normal breaths, and then I'll do it again. And every morning I do that 2 or 3 times. It takes only a couple of minutes to do that, or I do it before, big moments like this, or before I'm about to go into an appointment, or giving a speech, or, whatever it is, just to kind of get centered again, get that good energy from the earth. And bring it here. Absolutely, that was powerful. That was powerful. Yeah. When I seen you do it, I was like, "What is he doing?" I kind of want to try it. Don't know what he's doing. And it's free too, right? Yeah, it's free. I don't have to have an energy drink to get all amped up or anything, or shoot something or not shoot something or smoke something to get there. Not saying that isn't good every now and then, not shooting up, but but it's just it's free, and you can do it at any moment, no matter where you're at.
That was great, man. Can you share an element of how you were raised and how that impacts your life today? An aspect of your story that may surprise people.
An element of how I was raised. What do you mean by that? Or
was there a certain like what were your parents? Did they raise you a certain way that really impacted how you are today as a father, as a man? Because even in some of the conversations we've had, like I felt like, you know, like a big brother feeling from you, and I feel like a lot of people may get that from you, but it's a special feeling, you know, coming from another black man, because I was raised with a single parent.
Same.
So then, you know, coming to Fresno, starting selling real estate and looking for people that I can model myself after. And luckily I was at KW, and then there was a young black man who was doing it. And I was like, man, you know, it really inspired me to not only get out of my comfort zone, because selling real estate, you know, as a person of color, as anybody, can be difficult, challenging, like feeling of nervousness, like you don't belong there. So just having you to be there, you know, as I was so early on my journey, kind of helped raise me in real estate just by seeing your actions, some of the conversations that I know we've had, where you're like, Katie, you can't say that. You can't say, just think about it. And I take those conversations really to heart, because they really have molded and shaped me as a young professional. And I wonder, like, man, there must have been some great people or mentors in Darren's life that allowed him to grasp this knowledge and information and then spread that to other people.
Yeah. And so my mom was a single mom most of my life. My dad lived in the Bay Area, and so I would go visit him from time to time in summertime and things like that. So I got a lot of my love and caring, I would say, from my mom. So that's one area of my life that was shaped from there. Again, growing up on the west side, growing up on the east side, seeing those guys hustle and do things and be motivated, and, you know, waking up every day and going to get it, right? Whatever their hustle was, going to get it. I believe that's in me as well. And that's why I'm so driven and motivated to just continue to achieve and do more and do more and do more.
What took you away from, like, being in that environment? Like, what made you think that there's so much more out there for you? Like, you could have became a product of your environment. Why not?
Sure can. I could have, yeah. I think it was... probably my mom. My mom kept me just outside of that, even though my friends were there, right in the neighborhoods. But where we lived, I guess my mom, I don't know if she knew or what, but we just lived right outside of that. So I didn't grow up in it directly, but I would be over there all the time hanging out. Shit, I forgot what you said there. The question completely, but that's kind of how.
Like, choose that. Why not choose that lifestyle when it's all around you?
Yeah. So that was wise. And then also what I was gonna say was moving to LA really opened up my mind, and I seen that a lot more.
You moved to LA? I
moved to LA when I was 19 years old. I graduated high school at 17, went to Fresno State for a year and a half. So I was probably 19 years old when I was in LA. So I was young out there, just had a friend out there. Had a cousin in LA. I was living in Orange County at that time. So just being out there, seeing people do bigger things was just really eye-opening to me. And then around that time, I think YouTube was coming out, or was out, and so then, and internet obviously was around too, and so now you can see people all over the world and follow them, to continue to get the inspiration from them. Absolutely. No matter where they are. So it's easier for us nowadays to find a tribe of people that you want to fill your head with, fill your mind with, that will then affect your thoughts and what you say. You've heard the saying, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, right? And I also say you're the sum of the 5 people that you listen to the most, right? Whether it's podcasts, YouTube, the radio, right? It's sad to see people that are still in the same mindset because they still listen to the same music from back then, right? When they were growing up, when they were doing the dirt back then. And so they're still in that same mindset. Yes, it's cool to go back to the music from time to time and vibe out and reminisce and things like that. But if that's all you've listened to, then that music or that person or those people are going to keep you at that same level. So consistently finding new people to level up.
Now, transition a little bit to the networking aspect of it. How do you network as a young professional? How do you network efficiently as a young professional? Because I get this all the time in my Instagram DMs is, how can I find new opportunities or put myself out there more? Like, what are ways that people can do to just put themselves out there, be more vulnerable so that they can actually learn how to receive, the gifts that the world has for them?
Yeah. Man, networking is super important. I would say, so you said you used the word professional a couple of times, right? I wasn't always dressed like this, and I went to a listening appointment today, so that's why I was a little bit more dapper than I normally am. I'm usually a little bit more casual, right? I used to sag back in the day. Actually, I didn't sag too much. I take that back. I didn't sag too much. For some reason, sagging never made sense to me. It's like, why you want to show your butt, But, homies did, and whatever. But being professional, like dressing to the people that you're going to go meet, right? And so I for some reason, I don't know how, but when I was in high school, I remember considering myself a chameleon, right? Because I would be able to go talk to a few different groups of people and blend in with them, right? And still to this day, like we wasn't on camera. Well, you don't talk like this anyway, but if I was talking to one of my homeboys, like I would talk like one of my homeboys, like a little bit like more professional or clear or whatever I am at now. But but you talk to the audience how you you have to communicate kind of at their level, but a little bit above, so that way they can know that, hey, you can change your conversations as well.
Absolutely. How do you do exactly what you said while still maintaining the authenticity of who you are?
Yeah, good
I
question.
know a lot of times people, you go somewhere and you act a certain way, and the environment just may not be ready for that, and so you get called certain names, or why do you act like this? And it's like, man, this is who I am. Yeah. But so how do you do that around people you grew up with and remain authentic, and them also understand, like, this is who Darren is? Yeah,
man. I stopped caring, and it wasn't until recently when I stopped caring, because I always had there's one of my friends, love him to death, but I've always heard his voice because he was like a class clown, in a good way. But I would always hear him like making fun of just everything, right? Because he was a class clown, he was a comedian, and so he would make fun of any and everything. And so if I did something, even outside of, like, not near him, but just posted something on Facebook, right, where I know he would see it, I would always hear his voice in my head saying something like, "Oh man, you ain't that," or "You need to chill out, man, that ain't you," or yada yada yada. But after a while, I just trained myself to stop hearing that voice in my head, and so I don't listen to it anymore. Right? When I go into places now, when I am the only person of color, I'm proud when I'm there, because I know I'm there, and I belong there, right? And I want the people in there to know that, hey, I'm here, right? And I don't walk around with my chest out or anything like that, but I walk around like I'm just another normal human being, right? And I don't know, that's reciprocated very well. I don't know if it was always like that, but just now, having a name and whatever, it's different, to get a different vibe. And I also want to pave the way for others that want to, be in those same rooms with the same type of people that haven't been around a lot of people like us, to be okay with that.
Absolutely.
Right?
I know for me, like, just even being here in this moment with you, everybody who's here in this room, starting the podcast was such a huge thing for me, because I recognize how fortunate I am to be in the position I am as a young man. And so I want the people who may look up to me, or the people in my community, to really find value in the people in our community, and know that there are resources and mentors, and find inspiration from ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. And so, just having this platform to be able to highlight you and your experiences as a man, and overcoming the fear to get to this point, the fear of what will my friends think, what will the media think, and just coming to a place of, I don't give a shit. The world, my community deserves to hear these people's stories. And if I don't do it, then I'm actually doing my community, myself, the people around me a disservice. Yes. So learning how to, come from a place of they're giving me value, the community value, and really be intentional about, who we bring on or the conversations we have, so we can really spark growth and development and young entrepreneurs' minds. Definitely is the reason why I wanted to bring you on, because I knew your experiences I can relate to as an individual, as an entrepreneur. But a few more questions for you.
Yeah.
About entrepreneurship. What's a failure that maybe you've experienced in life or your business that you think that many are headed for, given the current conditions in the world, the market? What's something that you often see that you're like, I maybe do that differently? Or do you like people to have their own experiences to learn from that themselves?
Yeah, I would say everybody's going to have a different journey, a different path. And I don't know how to answer that, but I will say whatever it is on your path that you're experiencing, whatever the failure is, continue to go through it, right? Don't allow it to break you. Bend with it, right? And then just keep going, because the days will be sunny again, right? There's always a sun after the storm, right? And yeah, so I don't know. So everybody's going to have their own experiences. I would say fail faster, right? Fail forward faster, because that's going to help you. That's going to give you the callus to be somewhat immune to it, right? Say more of what you want to say, because that's going to help you have thicker skin when somebody says something back to you, right? Go do things that are uncomfortable, because the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to be to do uncomfortable things, right? I remember in high school, yellow was my favorite color because I said I had a bright personality. So yellow is a bright ass color, right? And so I remember I had the Jordans that was yellow. My very first pair of Jordans, they were yellow. And that's wear yellow shirts and things like that. And I remember, and again, I used to wear because matching, right? Matching like black and black pants, black shirt, black pants, something like that, right? Or I would wear stuff that made me uncomfortable to wear it, not really knowing what it was doing to me, but I knew I wanted to wear it because I kind of wanted to break the mode a little bit, and I wanted to be okay with it being okay.
Absolutely.
Right? You see what I'm saying? And so, I don't know, color coordinating was a thing back then, and I remember purposely not color coordinating, not completely off where I'm like, oh, look at this fool, looking like a clown or something like that, but just not perfect, this and that, or blue and blue, or black and black, or whatever it was, how we was matching back then. And so I remember doing that. But I kept doing that, and now I'm not as uncomfortable when I do it nowadays. Absolutely. Right? It just is what it is, right? And nobody can tell me anything, right? Because you don't know me, you don't know my life, you don't know who I am, right? You know what I got, you know what I'm saying? So you don't really care as much anymore about other people's opinions. So Absolutely. Stop caring about other people's opinions at some point, and worry about your own.
Point of stop caring.
Practice.
Continue
to tell yourself that what they think, what they're saying, what they do towards you, it doesn't really matter. Right? It shouldn't matter. It may feel like that up front or early on, but if you keep practicing and telling yourself, man, that don't matter. Forget that. I'm going to continue to do what I'm going to do, right? Because on the other side of this uncomfortable feeling, or on the other side of that bad comment, or the other side of whatever it is your greatness, right? You got to continue to break through that. And it literally takes practice.
There's always something that I tell myself. I repeat it to myself constantly. I tell myself, what's on the other side of fear? Opportunity.
Yes.
So every time I'm afraid, I kind of think about the opportunity that I might miss out on for myself, my family, just because I'm afraid to take the next step. So I'm always grateful for people who push me to move forward, because they're pushing me out of that comfort zone,
yes.
or out of that place of fear, and driving me towards more opportunity. And I may not feel it in that moment, but as time goes on, you're like, man, if I was afraid and didn't take that step, imagine what things would be like.
Exactly. Yeah. The ounce of regret, or ounce of regret is thing. It's something about a pound of something else. I forget what the saying goes, right? Like basically, don't regret not doing something. Do it. So that way you know what the outcome is, as opposed to not doing it, right? So the regret of not doing something is weighs more than the reaction that you'll get from taking the action. Something else I want to chime in on, for the voice in our heads, right? I heard this on a podcast recently. So the gal, Lisa Bilyeu, Tom Bilyeu's wife, from Impact Theory was on Ed Milet's podcast, and she said she made the voice in her head her friend. Right? She's like, okay. That's how she kind of talks. She said, okay, well, so you said I can't get on here and talk on this podcast. So why can't I get on here and talk on this podcast? Right? And so that was her bitch talking. Her asking the bitch in her head, or the friend in her head, why can't she do it? And then the bitch or the friend would give her the answer. She said, okay, because you don't have an intro, you don't have an outro, right? Okay, well, shit, I'll go work on my intro and my outro, right? Thank you very much, right? And then why can't I do this or that? Right? And then your mind would tell you, why you can't do it for whatever reason. And so, okay, well, thank you very much for that. I didn't think about that. Let me go work on that. Let me go practice that. Let me go do that. Right? So now then you just continue to polish yourself, improve your skills, and then you can go out there and do what your mind thought was a limiting belief. Right? Our minds can be our friends, or our minds can be our enemies. And then that doesn't change. Listen to that podcast. That doesn't change no matter how confident you are, no matter how successful you are, no matter what it is, you're always going to have the angel and the devil on your shoulders telling you different things. And so you just need to know what voice to listen to, and or how to listen to the negative voice to make it a positive thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
What makes me feel inspired or my best self? Man. Well, I don't know. Well, feeling my best self is, I don't know, I would say, well, giving love and getting love, or seeing what my love or my contributions are doing, and making an impact on somebody, changing somebody's life, however that is, makes me feel really, really good. Like for homeownership, or back to real estate, for having, like, for a person that comes to us not believing they can buy a home, and then us helping them, guiding them through the credit repair, through the paying off certain credit cards, through the getting rid of this and that debt, or the student loan, or whatever it is, right? To 6 months or a year or 2 years down the line, being able to buy a home for their family, a well-deserving family, right? That's been in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment or something for many years, to be able to buy a 3 or 4-bedroom home. Like, seeing somebody come from that to where they're at now, it really makes me feel really fucking good to see that.
And back to real estate, how many? Just give the audience some statistics about your real estate team, because I know you guys are on fire. So we definitely want to highlight some of that.
Yeah.
So give us some stats. How many homes have you guys sold as a real estate team?
Yeah, so last year we sold 144. We helped 144 families, is how I like to say it, right? We made a difference in 144 families' lives, and that is in the top 0.5% of our MLS. There's only probably 1 or 2 teams that do more than that. We're usually in the top 10 out of 4,000 agents. As far as units sold or families helped. Not always the highest in volume, and that's because we don't have the our clientele, people that know us, like us, trust us, aren't the higher volume yet, right? But we are moving that way. And the reason why I bring that up or say it like that is because the people that we help first early on in our careers are people that know us, like us, and trust us. And it's usually the people from your neighborhoods, your family, your friends, and things like that. So wherever you grew up at, that's probably the level of homes or the people that you're going to help in those type of neighborhoods, right? And so if those are $200,000 neighborhoods, which is on the lower end here, that's where you're going to start off. And then as you continue to progress and help that person buy a $200,000 home, couple years later, they're selling that home for $300,000 and then buying maybe a $400,000 or $500,000 home. Right now, you're getting exposed to other neighborhoods, and you're going to meet other people at those other homes in one way or another, right? And then people will start to see, oh, now they're selling these type of homes, and then so people will contact you to, hey, come sell our home in this area as well, yada yada yada. So we've been on a upward trajectory on that.
What are you doing currently to improve your leadership, like your leadership role, your role as a leader on your team, your role as a leader in your household? Like, how do you continuously improve on being a better businessman, better father, better community man.
Yeah, so podcasts, and then we go to a lot of events in person or online on Zoom or whatever it is nowadays. So maybe shoot 10 times a year or so. Maybe 10 times a year or so we are on something, learning something, and continuing to try to level up our skills, especially in leadership, because I wasn't a born leader.
Really?
Yeah, I was a follower, and I still don't think I'm a leader in work in progress, right? Yes, I'm the leader of our team. Cam's the main decision maker on the back end. But yeah, I haven't always been like this, right? I've just grown into this person that I am here today, and I've done that just through trainings. I'm willing to pay money to go to trainings to get in proximity with those that know more, that have done more, that have already traveled the path that I have traveled, and that I can learn from, right? Because I know 1 to 3 to 10 nuggets from that conference or from that training, from that seminar, I'm going to be able to apply that in my life and become a better man, a better husband, a better business owner, a better entrepreneur, a better investor, a better retail agent from that.
To some of the people who may be on the fence about paid training, is there some advice that you can give them to get over that? I think it's a fear. Maybe they just don't have the money to pay for it, or they don't feel comfortable. What's some advice that you can give to people? You shared a few good nuggets before of the access that paying for training allows you to have, Yeah. How does that change? How has paid training changed your business or your lifestyle? Yeah.
So first of all, I used to look at paid training as that's crazy, right? I would only go to free things and start off at free things, right? Go to what's free. But then after that, to get into the more high level conversations or to the more specific things that you want to grow on or grow within, you may have to pay for that. So I see that as an investment in yourself, right? Investing in yourself is one of the best places where you can invest. It's not necessarily real estate. It's not necessarily into something else. But investing in yourself first is definitely the best place where you can invest to improve your skills, improve your communication, improve your mindset, improve your thought process, improve, whatever it is that that you're lacking or you feel like you're lacking. Going to one of those paid seminars or paid trainings or events would definitely help you get through that. I would say definitely pay to go to a Tony Robbins while he is still, I would say this dude's been in his prime for a long ass time. And the tickets for the general admission aren't expensive. I want to say maybe $500 or something like that to be in the building. And I would say go to it and be in the building. They do offer, it may be $500 to $1,000. That's a cheap ass investment into yourself to come back after those 4 or 5 days to feel like you're unstoppable, to feel like you have a lot more confidence, to have more clarity in your mind. He goes over a lot of different things. He has a lot of different high level guest speakers come to these events. They do offer it online as well, but I believe in person is the best way to experience it.
Absolutely.
Because you can really feel the energy in the room, and it's so freaking crazy. And I swear, either at the day one, even the first hour, and hearing Tony Robbins speak and how powerful he is when he's doing his clapping, you can really feel that and feel the energy. And I would say when you go to these things as well, go all out, participate, ask questions. No question is a stupid question. Network with the people, talk to the people that are there as well, because they're more than likely going to be like-minded, either at your level, below you, or a level or two or whatever it is higher than you, right? Exchange contact information. Connect with them afterwards to see how they can help you. Maybe they are a missing piece to the puzzle that you need to solve something in your life, right? Maybe real estate investing. Maybe you found a deal or an opportunity, and that person is a private money lender, or that is a contractor, or that is a seasoned agent or a seasoned real estate investor that will happy to partner with you and take over the deal, and you learn while you earn.
Oh, yeah,
right.
Like
you know
that.
What I'm saying?
Like that.
Right. So they do all the work. They have the contractors, they have the private money lenders, they have, all of that, the processes and things. And while you guys are going through the step by step, they're also teaching you, right? You can't get that in school, right? You're paying to go to school, and you usually don't get paid. I mean, you probably have a job during that time, but you usually don't get paid for that career until after. you get out of school and then you got to go apply, right? But with this example, you can learn and then you earn at the end of the escrow process, which is, 60, 90, 120 days, something like that later, you can get something. Even if you gave up all your equity and you said, hey, an investor, you take on this deal because I know it's slim. I just want to learn from you. What you're learning from that will be more than the money that you're going to earn, right? Because you're going to be able to do that. After you learn that, you're going to be able to do what they just did over and over. Because now you're seeing it firsthand, first person, and that is so valuable.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be? Simply
making a difference and inspiring others to go after their goals, chase their dreams, and make the world a better place. Make people smile, make people happy. Give people a good feeling. So I said I've been known to do that, and so give people a good feeling.
And if you could turn back the clock and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself to take action faster and sooner than what I did. Right? Fail faster, pretty much. Fail faster, because through failure is the only way you're going to get through success or to success. Period.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Darren, thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate your time and for you being the first guest on the podcast, man. This was truly a great experience for me. Furthering our conversations together from what we normally have, and you sitting here across and giving my audience an opportunity to connect and chat with you. Where are some places that the audience can connect with you at?
Yeah, so Instagram is probably the easiest way to follow my life, my journey, my personal and business life. Is my Instagram handle is dad realtor investor. So dad _realtor _investor. Yeah, and I just added the investor. Well, it's been a couple years now, right? Because I wanted to be that. And so I was like, after I did 1 or 2 flips, I was like, all right, I'm an investor now. So let me add that on there, right? But obviously there's people that's freaking investor level 100 and I'm on 10.
And before we sign off, can you leave the audience with some tips or any podcasts or books that you're currently listening to that are helping, shape or mold you?
Yeah. So some of the podcasts that I listen to, so Bigger Pockets podcast, if you are on the investment side or want to become a real estate investor of any kind, there's all types of investment as well, not just in real estate. You can invest in notes. You can do subject to investments. You can do seller finance investments. Bigger Pockets podcast is where I would definitely start there. Bigger Pockets podcast. Alex Hormozy.
Oh yeah.
Is a really smart dude. I think he's only like 32 years old. He went to Vanderbilt or something like that. I just found out recently. He's in 10 years of owning and selling businesses. He's done a lot, and he's very sharp. And the way that he explains things is easy enough for anybody to understand. So I'll say look up Alex Hormozy. I think it's HORMI. Or MZI or something like that.
And he's got his podcast is called The Game.
The Game, yeah. I just listened to my first episode a few days ago.
Oh, really? I've been binging him a lot.
Really?
Oh, yeah, he's a great one.
Yeah. Ed Milet, very confident dude, really wealthy as well. And a wealth of knowledge. He came from like Tony Robbins, like Dean Graziosi as well. They came from very, very broken childhoods, and they rose up through that, and those negative situations have only made them who they are today, right? If they didn't have those negative situations growing up, then they wouldn't be where they are today, and they attribute their success to that, right? So no matter where you are in life, no matter what you've been through, right, having heroin addict parents, or digging in the trash can, or being poor, right, that shouldn't define of who you can be now or in the future. You just have to grow and build towards it.
Absolutely. Well, Darren, thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to growing in my own career as an entrepreneur with you, alongside you, and everything you guys got going. It's truly a blessing for you to be here with me on my show for the first episode. So thank you.
Happy to be here.
Really appreciate you, man.
Right on, man. I'm happy to be here. Yep.